Season 1, Jeff, BaRRaCCuDDa, and the North American Sweethearts bring it home under the banner of Cognitive Pride.
No one thought had a chance at the finals coming into this event. Coming as the number 2 seed. Face down, ripping through, Titan, down, falls 3, a double kill for himself, it's a 5-man. They're gonna go for the win.
The world champions, Cognitive Pride, GG!
Season 2, we say hello to Europe as Adapting and Epsilon Esports slam it home.
A huge play. Adapting's about to go up. He's going to come crashing down. Who's the target? It's going to be all 3, and 2 will get stunned out.
Oh no.
He's taking tons of damage.
Oh no.
Chaos force to move forward.
They don't have enough time for this. They don't have enough time for this.
No, it's a deicide. Ladies and gentlemen, Epsilon Esports.
Season 3, new name, same roster. 2-time world champions, Rapper and NRG.
Well, it's 4 members left, and into the sky goes Adapting. The ultimate's way down. The Titan is under siege. Energy are looking to be world champions again. Long live the King! And once again, the King is Europe.
Season 4, PolarBearMike brings it back for America. eUnited slams the hammer.
Cracking enough back. There's Death Walker controlling things. PandaCat takes that Wolfie. Where's the remainder of the team fight?
Death Walker falls to Venenu, and eUnited keeps on going because PandaCat
That's 2! Still pushing forward. They're at the Titan. Only 2 members to play defense.
They can't do it!
And that's the game. That's the series. That is your Smite World Championship. Say hello to your North American victors, PolarBearMike and eUnited.
Season 5, new map, new players, new teams, same destination. Who raises Thor's hammer? The Smite Pro League. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, folks. I had a sneeze right beforehand. What a way to start off the day, but we've got plenty of time for me to sneeze because we have 3 fantastic sets on the way for you guys. We're going to start off with eUnited taking on Spacestation. What a marquee match that is, Toby.
Nothing to sneeze at for this first one to kick things off. eUnited still remaining undefeated, a dominant performance. Spacestation Gaming trying to, withhold and stand for that number 2 spot.
Absolutely. Trifecta, CLG, Splice, and Luminosity also going to be on the docket today. But everybody fighting for, of course, that HRX spot. You guys don't have to fight much. Just go online. hi-rez.expo.com. Get your tickets. Smite and Paladins are there, as well as a slew of other esports. And don't forget, we're downtown Atlanta, so really exciting place to be. Plenty of other things to go on.
Mark that date on your calendar, because at the end of it all, for November 18th, it's going to be that after party, HRX after party.eventbrite.com. Come hang out with Finch, get his crisp handshakes, and hang out with all the other casters as well. Fans, community, players, everyone.
Always a lot of fun at the after party, but don't forget, that's what you can do in person. This is what you can do at home. You can link your account. Mixer and Smite have teamed up for the Pro League. They've teamed up for the Console League, and now they're teaming up to gift you and thank you for watching. You can get Pro League Bologna just for linking everything together, and of course, you're eligible for a slew of other goodies. Let's zoom out and take a snapshot of how the North American scene looks at the moment. We've got a couple of teams. eUnited is looking really good, undefeated, but then a couple of teams right underneath them. Space Station and Splice both really jockeying for position there.
And CLG is not too far behind, sitting at 2 and 3. LG and Trifecta trying to avoid that number 6th spot to get a little bit of a better standing spot. I think Space Station Gaming have a shot here absolutely today against eUnited.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall task, but eUnited undefeated so far, so Space Station have a Goliath in front of them. We'll see if they can David their way out of it. Top manager and Anatoly bringing the business today for our 3 games. eUnited, though, as I said, undefeated. What is keeping these guys so hot?
It's just their aggression. They can't be stopped. The flexibility of Scream's God pull. Benji's always dominating the solo lane no matter what he's playing. Baron Sabadi, I think, was best adapted by PBM in that support role outside of any other team.
Yeah, PolarBearMike has really looked good on the Baron, which opens up that solo lane for other options for Benji to play. You want the control mage, but if your solo laner has to play it, then you're losing the aspect of some of those warrior possibilities that don't always translate to the support role. Other teams have tried it, but like you said, PolarBearMike has been probably the best support Baron.
And it's not just him out of the dual lane. PandaCat has been playing super aggressive in the dual lane, loves his on her, so much so that BaRRaCCuDDa started to pick it up for his game, Zatman, and a lot of other North American hunters, almost even before that secondary ban phase.
Yeah, you know, Ryan and I were on the call the other day, and we were talking about eUnited, and it was kind of like this team had sort of faked it till they made it, right? At Worlds, I think they overperformed at Worlds and won the World Championship, but that overperformance gave them sort of, whether it's the confidence or the actual prowess in-game, practicing at the high level and performing at the high level will get you used to it. Now, they very much are the team to beat. Whether or not they were last season is a different story. They've come in dominantly in the fall split, undefeated, and they're looking to keep it that way. P's and B's, pretty please, as we get ready for eUnited versus SSGs.
And this is the Week 4 rematch, guys. So Week 1, it was actually Spacestation Gaming that lost.
Right.
eUnited got the better end of that trade. Venenu going to Spacestation, Baskin going to eUnited. But I don't think it was the mid laner's performance on either side that really influenced that match.
No, not necessarily. And when we talk about this trade specifically, I want to make it clear that Baskin is probably a better player than Venenu in a vacuum. But, of course, this is a 5-person game. And how good you are versus how good you are with said teammates around you, that might be the bigger conversation. First round of bans are done. No Freya, no Chernobog, says the red, white, and blue. The black and yellow, paying attention to control, taking care of the global guardian Athena, and the control mage Baron Samedi, which leaves Pele to be selected here by eUnited. No real surprise whether this is in the hands of Benji. The first time we saw the Polynesian assassin was Deathwalker played her in the solo lane and didn't look good. Rather uneventful rival game yesterday. I expect this to be a jungle Pele, I think, this time for Scream.
It's possible. You never really know with all of eUnited's roster. Who knows? Maybe even the support role, knowing PBM and his influence in this composition. But at the end of the day, I think Pele provides that dominant laning phase that you really want, and even the jungle mobility.
Cerberus and the Morrigan chosen across the way. eUnited will respond with a Terra and a Ho-Yi.
Terra and Ho-Yi is going to provide a lot of control for the Pele to get in and get out. Because once she ultis in, she's pretty much a sitting duck. So you get that Earth and Fury to support her, help her damage numbers, assist her defensive numbers, get that healing in line, and the little bit more support could go even further for eUnited.
I also like Earth and Fury with the way Pele's ultimate works. Newer character, and I'm sure the commentators will go in depth about her, but essentially that ultimate, she hits one character, but then she has cleave basics, and as you hit 4 people, if you're able to burst damage all of that because of Terra, it's a nice look. Jing, the hunter for SSG, and as we look at the second round of bans, Neith and Sobek banned out by SSG. And across the way, eUnited focusing on 2 assassins.
Trying to get andinster a little less comfortable on some of his picks. Ratatasker is still a viable pickup if they really wanted to get that global pressure, but instead opting for the Da-G. It's a lot of burst damage and a lot of mobility to try to counteract that with 1,000-fold cuts.
Also some crowd control as well. Maybe handle Pele. She's going to be very mobile, very
so
agile.
It's hard to really hit that powwow against her.
That's fair. That is very fair. But at the same time, you know, she doesn't really have much outside of the ult and beads to really get away, right?
Sure.
So
Very true.
Certainly a thought process there. The Kuzenbo and the Apollo. Apollo is a character I've been expecting, asking for, and wanting more of here. And we get to see him. Ho-Yi or Apollo, who's mid?
It's got to be Apollo. Knowing Baskin, we've seen him play the Apollo more than the Ho-Yi, and knowing PandaCat, I think he would heavily prefer getting those ricochet opportunities.
Sun Wukong, the final selection here for Spacestation Gaming, likely to be the solo laner over there. A Cerberus who might be able to play support. Who's going to win? Spacestation Gaming or eUnited? That's the question we pose to you guys out there in Mixer Chat. eUnited, of course, has the undefeated record, but Space Station right on their heels, 3-2, and they're in that second place position. This is a very important set. More so for SSG than eUnited, but I think eUnited want to keep that 0 in the loss column.
Absolutely. When you're at this point in the second half of the split, you got to be looking to continue this kind of a streak. But I like the fact that Morrigan now goes to Venenu. Let's see what he can do with it.
Well, we've got a top-tier matchup here, so we won't waste any more of your time. On the way, commentators, ready, set, go.
Thank you, Desk. It's week 4, North American Day 1. eUnited versus Space Station. The top 2 teams in North America for the whole year so far. The real test, though, is how is Space Station Gaming looking going up against eUnited, who are still unstoppable this split?
Now, normally in a team situation like we have here, where eUnited has looked unstoppable, you mentioned it, and Space Station has been trying to catch up, it would normally be all the pressure onto eUnited, but I feel like Space Station's under more pressure.
Well, Space Station right now going to invade the speed buff at the moment as well, running Dargy in the jungle. Jeff completely ignoring the poke from behind, looking towards Scream. Aquarius going to get the Jingu Bang down, but no experience for anybody other than Jeff losing half his health.
Odd beginning there.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, red buff invade was attempted by eUnited. I'm not sure that PandaCat was able to get that red buff away. Space Station just tries to throw eUnited for a loop in that spot. And you can do this particularly with Jing because she can always back and fly over to duo and not miss as much farm as a traditional hunter would. But Space Station really did need to secure that speed buff in order to make that invade worthwhile. Now andinster is without a speed. Pele already out farms really easily in the jungle because her jungle clear is so good and so quick, and she has that movement speed to go in between camps very quickly, that Andy was going to get out-farmed as it was, but now you add in that Scream's the only jungler with a speed buff, it's going to get worse.
I'm talking about Scream as well. Started with the movement speed ability in this game as well on Pele jungle. Is that kind of standard then because of the clear?
Yeah, it's not just because of the clear, it's because the cooldown is so low. It's because it doesn't really operate off a cooldown, it operates off your fuel source, and the fuel source will regen very, very quickly a lot of the time. So you use that to be your primary clear in the early game. I am interested in seeing which ability Scream decides to prioritize leveling as he continues to level up. I think that Eruption is the one that I've been the highest fan of so far, and maxing early on. I've seen junglers max Magma Rush, the movement speed. I don't think maxing Pyroclast is great in jungle. I think it's necessary in solo lane. We saw Deathwalker do it yesterday. I'm more of a fan of leaving that as your Pyroclast casts as a jungler are your auto attack cancel ability. It's such a good auto attack cancel because you get 2 charges of it. You can do it twice. I think hi-rez is a great pickup on Pele for that reason. And I'm very curious to see where Scream's going to go with this build.
But on top of that, when you talk a little bit more about that, the Pyroclast is going to be a pretty interesting ability with the back and forth in terms of damage. It's not easy to confirm both types of that. It's not like isn't Normie's auto attacks or anything like that, but
no.
Can be pretty impactful. However, the Eruption, I think that's going to be the biggest thing in this overall. Just as you max it out, it scales, it gets bigger, which means it's easier to connect.
Well, the idea is you throw out the Pyroclast and then you knock them up, guaranteeing the return shots of the first Pyroclast shot. And while they're knocked up, you throw the second one to guarantee that damage on the front end as well. It's very, very heavily loaded towards the front side. It really, if you're playing Pele and you're not landing the return shots of Pyroclast, keep picking her. It's not why you pick this character. It's for that little bit of damage. It just really does help her wave clear. I think it's what enables her to be a good solo laner alongside that passive. So it's certainly nice, but it's not the end-all be-all.
Apollo back towards the mid lane for Baskin here, and he's got a bit of a lead at the moment over Venenu. That's the only real difference so far. United are up overall, though, in terms of gold and experience, just because of the start Space Station did. That didn't really work out fortuitous for them.
Every person on eUnited has an experience lead right now. Maybe Aquarius is slightly ahead of Benji, but no, in fact, he is not. If you take a look at the XP per minute charts on your left-hand side of your screen, it's everyone in their individual roles is ahead. And not even that, but the XP per minute is a chunk of eUnited and then all of Space Station. So this level lead isn't getting any better right now if you're SSG. So they need to try and find an invade somewhere to try and get that XP flowing in their favor.
Or maybe it's just worth waiting around for these level 5s, because obviously United will hit level 5 a little bit quicker. As you can see, Scream already there, as is Baskin. And if you try and take on those fights when you're not level 5, you're not going to have an easy time. So maybe it's sit back till around, well, they're level 5 and the enemy's level 6 to look for those invades.
It's certainly possible, but the level 5 for United is also very strong because they've got a great team fighting ultimate coming in, and Fury is then in some trouble here. Volcanic Lightning committed as well.
Scream still trying to find the kill, though, and he will be able to find it, but can he get away too? Well, he's got the mobility with the speed buff as well as the rush. But andinster is still knocking around, only level 4. First blood, a solo kill. Scream picking up Venenu.
And I love Scream's full commit right away. No reason to wait around and see, maybe I'll commit to this. You can tell Scream's been practicing this pick because that was very clear that he understood the amount of damage he was going to be doing in that moment. The knockup guarantees your Volcanic Lightning as long as you don't get greedy with an auto cancel, and Scream did just that. And then, even if andinster's there to body block for you, remember, Volcanic Lightning isn't just this long dash that does a ton of damage, by the way. It's that it also, when you hit a target, it cones out your auto attacks behind them. So andinster isn't really helping Venenu, even though his instincts tell him to be there to body block.
Yeah, form of splash damage for Pele. The best way you can look at it is Medusa's Acid Spear. If you look at it that sort of way, it's the same sort of cone situation that will go on with the ultimate that Pele is going to bring to the battlefield. Devour's going to listen in the mid lane for Baskin and for PandaCat in the dual lane. Funny enough, double hunters, which we've seen a little bit more of here and there. North America brought it into the fray in season, well, the start of the season, I should say. But no Fafnir, surprisingly enough. They went for the Terra option instead.
It just ups their team fight a little bit more. And Fafnir is, when you're picking double hunter, Fafnir is there to make your objective prowess that much better. And you can really burst down objectives. You can pick single targets pretty well. But your team fight still lacks because you're really lacking AoE damage. Earth and Fury is such an insanely good team fight ultimate that it kind of makes up for not having a mid laner in that AoE damage department. Benji is just going to make it so that the hunter can't really play the game in the team fights. BaRRaCCuDDa is going to be on the run from minute 1.
Yeah, when you're going to crit hunter as well, which is Jingwei's one of the only ones that you like. She should be going crit, maybe Artemis too, but
I don't know that Artemis is
passive anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Thinking about it, just attack speed. So
I watched Emilito build 0 crit Artemis yesterday, and it felt weird, but I'm pretty sure it's right.
I can understand it. And I think that's a funny thing about like seeing the fact we got Kuzenbo in this game. The only hunter that really struggles 100% of the time against the Kuzenbo is going to be one with crit naturally in the kit.
Sure. Look, every hunter struggles against Kuzenbo.
Of course.
The Kuzenbo is the ADC ruiner. But you're right. It's extra bad whenever you're just trying to use explosive bolts and then Kuzenbo runs in front of you.
I'll take that.
I'll just one auto attack and then I'll try and get away. And then you hurt yourself for a large portion of your HP.
Quick trip back to base then for level 7 Scream. Looking at the shield so far, he's going to be upgrading that as well. So Gladiator shield here in the jungle.
It must be that Scream is really looking to keep the early aggression going. It's probably more about that.
BaRRaCCuDDa, lovely with the root there just in time, and that's forcing BaRRaCCuDDa to use the airstrikes. That's a cooldown. Sorry.
That's a pretty good one. Is actually Pyroclast leveling for Scream. This is, so when you look at the ability damage numbers, they don't jump off the page to you. 220 at max rank isn't that much, 20 per return shot. But keep in mind that there's 2 charges of this. So 440 plus 120% of your physical power is pretty darn good.
But then you got to hit them all too, and it is a skill shot, so it trades off, right?
Yeah, but you only have to hit the front end. I mean, the return damage is scaled separately. There's a different part of it. It's just 20 plus a little bit of scaling per shard returning. So it's really just hitting your front end.
andinster going to try and get some damage off his Venenu, has to transform, turns in towards PolarBearMike to give himself some sustain. Baskin immediately out of that fight, not interested in Scream. Also, happy with the result there, knowing that Venenu does not have that Morrigan ultimate available. That was what was Ben.
That was what the plan was, and Ben didn't have that available last time he was jumped on by Scream, so this time was able to use it in a quick, great transformation target in particular. I think that's his best option to not just survive. I mean, he could have turned into Wukong and lived, but I think that turning into Terra really puts eUnited at a bigger disadvantage than anything else. The only other one that I think may have been even better is maybe you turn into Dodgy and immediately ultimate, pull the beads, and then andinster is able to ultimate after that, knowing Scream CC immunity is down. Could have been possible.
Could have been possible, but the better option definitely than Morrigan is the defensive one. So you could have maybe gone for the Cerberus, but then again, a little bit behind for Jeff there. And the ultimate definitely more impactful in that situation from a Terra, because it's going to give your team some heals and some bit more defense. And, you know, the offensive team, a little bit riskier now.
Especially when you're already poked down to below half HP, turning into a character that can heal itself is definitely going to be a pretty big bonus. And Ven's got great transformation targets in this game. Pele's, Pele's a good one for chasing down players. In the late game as the Morrigan, the game plan is you stealth, you walk forward, you stun someone, auto attack to instantly transform because you know you're going to be under siege and your whole kit is down. Pele is very, very good at chasing a character like, say, Ho Yi or Apollo that's going to leap away from you. Volcanic Lightning and Magma Rush just let you close that gap so easily and then have another mobility option to get away after that. It's why Serket is so popular with the Morrigan, because you can use mobility to catch up to a character that gets away from you and still get the kill and still try and escape. After that, the one thing that he has to be careful of is if you have Magma Rush activated, then you won't de-transform back into the Morrigan.
Fight around the purple buff. JeffHindla eats a double ricochet. PandaCat jumps in the sky, comes back down. andinster's managed to get some chains off, but beads will be used by Baskin. And of course the rest of the team to stay alive, but JeffHindla is going to go down to the suns from PandaCat. Purple stripped away too. eUnited come up big.
Like I said, what your traditional problem with the double hunter composition is lack of AoE. Right there, it's Earth and Fury and it's Sunbreaker make the AoE for eUnited.
Gold Fury goes down towards eUnited as well, just extending that gold lead even more so, approaching 4,000 now. And nearly enough the same for experience too, but PandaCat's not done. He's going to take a trade with BaRRa. Knockup is good, but immediately agilityed away by BaRRaCCuDDa, but Panda could be in trouble.
And he won't be able to get it because BaRRa will. Now PBM's still here. BaRRa walks right into the stun, and Screammmmm going to try and dive this with help from PBM.
Yeah, PBM's going to tank it up, and it allows Baskin to cross the skies. Well, guess what? There's another Apollo. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? It's a car coming down on Screammmmm.
Screammm's beads down and will go down himself. Venenu's actually going to get himself a double kill with help from JeffHindla. Good recognition from Ven that he needed to be there for that fight.
The benefit of a Morrigan. If the enemy team's got a global, guess what? You guys also have a global. That's what the situation was there. So that trims the gold a little bit there. But at the end of the day, Space Station having to be the counter initiators.
The big thing for me is less about the amount of gold that Space Station got back in that position, and more about just the momentum that they get. They get a little bit of reprieve from eUnited pushing the boundaries, being the ones who are initiating everything and getting themselves in the right positions.
If anything, though, realistically, it's like eUnited kind of gave up and evened out the Gold Fury overall with what happened in that play, you know?
Yeah.
eUnited could have just stopped and not gone aggressive after getting the Gold Fury. They already got the purple, the kill on Jeff, and the Gold Fury. They wanted to take it a step further, but in doing so, it kind of harmed them a little bit in terms of how far ahead they are of Space Station.
It did. It did end up hurting them a little bit, but it also, set behind BaRRaCCuDDa a little bit more, set behind andinster a little bit more, and those are two players on Space Station that were already behind. And so those kills do end up mattering. Maybe not as much as Venenu getting a double and getting himself back in a good position, because he was down by quite a bit before that engagement. Him getting himself a double kill onto Screammmmm and Baskin in particular, two characters who were ahead, is going to be a big help to him.
Real big game for Space Station then, especially how their Week 1 performance against eUnited began in the full split. Wasn't as much of a match as we were hoping for at the time, but now things have started to settle down a little bit more. Obviously, Venenu been on the team for a couple of weeks now and should have found his groove. He's been playing the Morrigan, so, things aren't too doom and gloom here, but he is against his former opposition, and that comes into play quite a bit when you know how the enemy members think.
Oh, it definitely does. It's definitely, well, I know this guy likes to play this way, or he'll build in this manner. Maybe he'll do something a little bit different than what other teams are kind of familiar with, and I think that definitely helps out. And like I was saying, I think that normally in a game like this, the pressure is on the team that's undefeated to stay undefeated against good competition. But eUnited feels so far ahead right now that, like, if they drop this set, how much does that really hurt them? It doesn't really feel that impactful, whereas Space Station, if they want to prove that they're a top-tier competition, feel like they really need to put up, maybe not a win, but a competitive showing.
A fight.
Yes.
A real fight is what you're after. eUnited there, though, we're looking at the Pyromancer for a second or two and a bit of zone work from PolarBearMike, but he drew it a bit too much attention, so eUnited didn't manage to strip that one away as well. Look at Screammm's build, though. He went for the Gladiator Shield, now into the Soul Eater. This is all ability resustain, and then add that into the fact the amount of lifesteal it has in this kit when you get below half health.
It's absurd.
He may never die.
It is absurd. Now, you're basically looking at just burst damage to get the kill, and I wonder if this is why Ven is delaying Bumba's Mask in the mid lane. I'm curious if that's going to be a Sphere of Desolation, which is very core on the Morrigan, because it's good power, it's cooldown reduction, it's pen. But I wonder if that's going to turn into a Divine Ruin, and it probably should, because you've got on the enemy team a Terra, two characters with Devourer's Gauntlets, and now Screammmmm going pure lifesteal build, so anti-heal is going to be a necessity.
Funny enough, should Aquarius maybe have looked at a Pestilence this game instead of the other magical option, because there's not that much magical damage on the enemy team to worry about.
He's not buying Onis in this spot for magical protection as much as he is a cheap, yes, it's magical protection, but it's not his dedicated option.
And I get that, and I think the problem is that can he really invest 2 magical protection items against a composition like this?
That will
That's
be
where the issue
difficult,
is,
but he
right?
can always sell the Glad Shield for it pretty quickly. You can kind of it's insurance that if a fight starts to break out around this time, Aquarius is going to be very, very efficient because he's gotten cheap items that do a lot by this point of the game.
That's fair.
Now, once we hit 28, 29 minutes, yes, I think a Pestilence is going to be a necessity for somebody on Space Station, though keep in mind, JeffHindla is playing Cerberus, who has innate anti-heal in the passive. Good point. Will also not just anti-heal you, but steal that healing away from you at the same time. So that Cerberus pickup is going to prove to be pretty good.
It will be the Spirit of Desolation for Venenu in the mid lane, not the Divine Ruin just yet. So no anti-heal really on the cards for Space Station so far. Obviously, when you look at that comp, you don't think too much about lifesteal, but it's just hitting away a little bit here and there. BaRRaCCuDDa going to get leapt on, and the Ricochet will connect from PandaCat. BaRRaCCuDDa still under pressure as Mike goes in and finds the root.
But PBM already getting pretty low. Now, Mike does have beads just in case of a Cerberus ultimate, but Dodgy ult, on the other hand, is going to force it out, and it doesn't even help him. Ven is able to get that kill, and the rest of eUnited just so far back.
Yeah, a little bit too far forward for PolarBearMike there, but great play from Space Station. Aquarius already over here as well, trying to zone out, but he's taking a ton of damage.
Andy going to blink in right on top of PandaCat. That'll cost Panda his Aegis, and finally leaps away towards his team, but Van wants to keep this chase going.
Aquarius is a clone doing a lot of work. There's Venenu's getting very low, but does manage to transform into some Wukong and get away. Andinster takes down Baskin, but Screammmmm is here and starting to turn this into a bloodbath.
But the problem is someone's got to handle Benji because he is still completely healthy now. Ghastly Breath helps in that regard, but Space Station won't be able to do an easy Gold Fury even with a full health Hunter here just because of Benji. But that was a great fight from Space Station. They get the ball rolling in their favor. They get good damage off, and I'm surprised they won that so easily despite having absolutely no anti-heal.
Screammmmm in the mid lane, going to use that Nene Kappa to get a bit of range underneath the tier 1 and half health BaRRaCCuDDa. Benji, though, just going to frontline as Kuzenbo will to prevent some of that damage coming back. It was a good fight for Space Station, but eUnited, at the end of the day, they don't really lose too much off the fact that they took that skirmish, which, in all intents and purposes, Mike was overextended and eUnited were not prepared.
Yes, Mike was definitely a little bit too far forward, and whether that's his fault or the fault of his carries for not stepping up to assist him in that spot.
That's to be fair, that was the bait from PandaCat. I've been there before as well as a support, but Benji gonna get taken off 4 members here. Obviously, ultimate backup, so no harm, no foul. That'll be on cooldown, though, and that could be a good sign for Space Station to maybe look around the gold here.
It is 30% CDR in the build already for Benji, so Watery Grave will be up sooner rather than later, but it is definitely a cooldown that Space Station could look to take advantage of. But the cooldowns that I think they should be looking to take advantage of even more, look at the Purification beads on the eUnited.
Oh, yeah.
Every single member has their beads down, and this is a composition that does well against a composition that doesn't have CC immunity. A lot of characters for United do not have innate CC immunity. Baskin is trying to prevent a team fight from happening by split pushing.
Love this call.
But that might be the go sign for Space Station.
I think this is great because you've still got Benji over here anyway, and what's BaRRaCCuDDa going to do to the Gold Fury at the same time? They're going to have to send someone to defend, but Baskin's already leaving the building. His car has arrived, the Uber is here, and he's looking for a tip.
BaRRaCCuDDa coming in and going to eat a lot of damage right away. Baskin can't quite finish him off, but look at this. Benji already brings down Jeff.
And there's 2 in the mid lane still, so this is a 3-on-5 on the left-hand side. Space Station are just trying to survive here. Andis is forced to take a fight he doesn't want to. No ultimate available, no beads, no blink. 2 members dead on eUnited thanks to Baskin just basically, well, ulting across the map.
Oh, no. Baskin lazy backs right there, and BaRRa might just make him pay. Shell is good, and BaRRa might just get punished for this.
He will, and that was... It wasn't brutal. A bait from Baskin, but that's just reinforcements of the team being there at the right time to, like, not be in a situation where they're like, oh, abandon all hope on him.
That one hurts for BaRRa to miss out on a kill that looked pretty free and then end up dying yourself and losing the beads. Gold Fury's going down. Venenu knows this is happening, but can't go in and contest all by himself without the Aegis. Decides against it, and eUnited just gets further and further ahead. This lead is already over 5,000.
I want to take a look at the grass, because if you just notice the gold, look at gold difference on the right side, look at just this steady, slow, significant climb that eUnited have done since the beginning of the game, and that's where Spacestation Gaming look to try and get aggressive in the enemy jungle, cause some problems, and in the end of the day, just put themselves at a deficit in terms of experience.
I really don't feel like a team has dominated a region this hard in a long time. It feels like it's been a year or two since a team has been so far ahead of everyone else in their region, but that's the way it feels right now for eUnited.
It does feel that way, but I think the other thing is because EU looks so good. The last time we saw this was like the Energy days, right?
Yes.
When Energy was going crazy. NA was, you know, not as strong as Energy still, but I still feel like eUnited are looking across the pond at Europe going, we've still got big competition over there.
They definitely do. I don't think that eUnited is dominating the entire SPL.
No, I know you were saying that. I'm just saying, like, this is a slightly different circumstance because of that.
It is. PBM could be in some trouble, though has the beads. Screammmmm loses bubble, but that's not a big deal in exchange for the ultimate out of andinster is this double hunter. I said it was less about objectives without the Fafnir, but it still does those well.
Jeff around the back gets the beads out of Screammmmm and out of Baskin too. Mike gets a roof on Aquarius, but Aquarius going towards Baskin, and he will fall down, but at the same time, Pele did manage to pick up one.
But mid-jungle's already dead for Space Station. Screammmmm just unleashed in this team fight. BaRRaCCuDDa's got to ult away. And eUnited, they lost one ADC. Okay, let's just keep going with our other one.
They could potentially just run it down mid here for a tier 2 tower. They're already on it. They don't have any minions, but who needs them when you've got a Kuzenbo? That's the way I'm looking at it. Now Screammmmm going to head off to the right hand side. He could potentially look for a tier 2 here, but Aquarius is back in mid with the teleport coming through, but there's no attention paid to him for the moment. They're focused on the tier 2 tower.
Screammmmm puts out really nice damage with that eruption. Tier 2 getting low, but PandaCat's really low on mana. Finally secured by eUnited, and that gets them 1,500 gold across the pockets.
Those pings were red towards Fire Giant there. I think this call from Space Station might be trying to sneak a fire real quick, knowing that some of the members of eUnited have to base, and Baskin had died, but Baskin has just respawned as well, has his ultimate available, and I don't think Space Station are confident with looking at that so far. But good news is they do have wall coverage around there.
They do. I wouldn't mind a Fire Giant rush here from Space Station. It is definitely desperation time.
Oh Lord, look at Screammm's last item.
He's going Bumbas.
He going for that mobility. Speed on speed on speed on speed.
It's going to be absurd. Now he's going to do negative damage to Aquarius and JeffHindla because he has no pen.
Who cares about those two? He's not after those two.
No, he's not. Especially when you're anticipating a Bumbas mask out of Venenu, your lack of damage is counteracted by their extra damage that they're going to be taking. So Ven hasn't gone for it yet. Ven has been behind in this game, as has the rest of Space Station. So he is elected to go for the penetration build. This makes him actually useful against the tanks in this game, which is an important distinction to make, where Bumbas makes you it's pretty much impossible for you to kill tanks once you get Bumbas.
Baskin on the left-hand side showing Andinster's attention, and doing so, JeffHindla is caught out a little bit alone here. Screammmmm just whacking away on the Guardian. Like you said, though, 70 in auto. There's a few 70s in that health bar, but look at left-hand side. Andinster is still trapped against Baskin here and losing this fight.
Baskin gonna pick up the ultimate here. Come and help out on this right-hand side across the sky indeed, but Space Station immediately just give it up.
This is all global gold that eUnited have got from the towers and objectives on the map. They're going to start Fire Giant early on. Should be some wards around here for Space Station to know this is going on, especially with eUnited falling back to this area. But I don't know if they can stop this.
I don't know. I mean, BaRRa's going to have to try alongside Aquarius. You don't really have the option to just give this up without a contest. It's Aquarius going to walk in, Fire Giant getting low, but eUnited able to grab it.
Aquarius falls down, JeffHindla soon to follow. Screammmmm gets the double. BaRRA hovering in the air, looking for an exit strategy. Luckily, Andy's there to support, but two more members fall, and Venenu as Benji, as Kuzenbo against the world. He gets one, but he's going to fall down soon after. Deicide for eUnited. That could be the game.
That very well could be. I think it is. I mean, there's 30 seconds on andinster, 20 on JeffHindla, but he doesn't have the ultimate with 4 members up. That could just do it. Again, eUnited just make it look easy. That felt effortless.
In the grand scheme of things, Spacestation Gaming came out with a strategy at level 1 to try and steal away the speed, put them at a deficit, but in the end, that went against them, and from that moment on, eUnited didn't really make mistakes. 1 or 2, but there was nothing up to get punished for. When Mike died, nothing could happen.
Right. I mean, what is that? I think that does end up saying something, though.
Yes.
That Space Station feels like they need to, they kind of go for broke with that strat, right? That beginning, it feels like this is our best chance to win by catching eUnited off guard, because if we just load in and run at each other 5v5, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. I think that says something about where eUnited is in comparison to Space Station, even in Space Station's own mind.
I mean, to be fair though, Spacestation Gaming, if they're going to come into the game and go for a level 1 strategy like that, they expect that if it goes wrong, this is the plan.
Right.
But there was no plan to really fall back on it, felt like.
No, that felt like a all in. I mean, that's Cooper going in with Jack 4. Like that's kind of the way it goes. And turns out Jack 4 is not a particularly good poker hand, and Space Station didn't have a particularly good game.
It all depends on the flop at the end of the day. But that's enough poker terms overall here. Who do you guys think deserves MVP for that first game? And I'm going to turn that question to you because I think eUnited as a team was solid. I don't think there was anyone that really stood out.
Yeah, it is tough. It just felt like it was the entirety of eUnited just kind of ran forward with it. Baskin made some good plays, but also had a couple deaths. PBM had that one death, but also played well besides that. You can basically give it to anyone here on eUnited.
Well, that's game 1 down. Let's throw it down to the desk to break it down and hope Space Station do something different game 2.
Thanks a lot there. Good job on the cast, Orion and Hindu. Tom and Totally to break it down for you guys. And as it works, you're right. It certainly was an all-in strategy. And after the river, everything goes the way of eUnited. Nice plays there coming out. Pele on display as well. What a goddess.
Pele did very well, I would say, for Scream, but I think a lot of it came down to was Baskin split pushing on the Apollo. He forced a 5-on-4 team fight around the 18-minute mark where Venenu had to cross over to defend that tier 2 tower, and once Baskin got to the team fight, it was just all eUnited getting a clean 3 for nothing.
Usually this is the page of the post-game stats that I really, really like to stick on and look at, but as we get to page number 2, I really want to see the structure damage. Yeah, look at that. Can you read that number for me, Totally?
A little bit here. 4,000 damage coming from Baskin, and a little bit more, almost 5,000 out of PandaCat.
Yeah, that's really impressive coming out from Baskin because I think almost all of that structure damage is the split push damage.
A little bit.
As you said, the ability for eUnited to really spread the floor, very, very important. I'd be remiss, though. I have to mention every single time I talk about eUnited, Benji, just doing Benji. I had a little mini game with myself. I said, you know what? I can't wait. No shots against Benji. I want to talk about eUnited without bringing up their solo laner, but you just can't.
Nope.
He's an integral part of every damn game they play.
Even playing the Kuzenbo to a point where it's not against double hunters necessarily that even mattered for the Kuzenbo. Yeah. It was still the reflect damage to keep Venenu in check, keep BaRRaCCuDDa out of the equation.
Also, andinster, certainly a big part of why the Kuzenbo is selected. Reflect damage from the Daji, certainly a nice thing. The basic attacks, the hot hands, the dots, all a part of what's going on here. But most valuable player goes in the jungle. 7, 1, and 6 for Scream here. The high school assassin out of control, man. I mean, this guy just looking so damn good here in not just this game, but the entirety of Season 5. Right. Scream's been on his business.
Venenu getting the victim card of the first blood, unfortunately for him. He was only level 4, and Morrigan that can't get out of the equation means that it's an easy first blood for Scream, and the way he built it was impressive, honestly. He rushed the Gladiator shield, eventually transitioning to the Soul Eater, and once you evolve the Soul Eater, it just synergizes even further with your passive. The item gives you 15% ability lifesteal. Once you drop below 50% health, you get 20% ability lifesteal. So not only do you have the 35% ability lifesteal from those two things combined, right, but you also have 40% lifesteal from the passive for 6 seconds, and that's why he got away with that build.
Yeah, that's just woof. Whole lot of lifesteal. Totally. Do you buy anti-heal for that?
No, but you do pick up Odin, I think, against the Pele. I think that's the proper response to try to shut her down.